Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, yes, life is never easy. You want it to be, but that's not real. There's going to be curveballs thrown your way. There's going to be hiccups along the way. I used to call them mountains. I call them speed bumps. You got to go over them to get to the other side. How do you navigate, or how do you get into the mindset of being prepared for those things that present themselves along the way of life? We are going to talk about that today. And interestingly, we're going to frame it through the eyes of science. He has worked in the scientific field for many, many decades, taught it, has written so many different papers in journals. He's an author, has a fabulous memoir, and he's had many eureka moments, like noted scientific eureka moments over the years. Grant Venerable joins us today on the program. Hey, Grant, how you doing?
Well, I am fine, Stephen. Let's see if I can get myself in focus here.
This is something that we're going to talk about today, something that many of us are challenged by. Many don't like change. Many like to be comfortable. And I get it. It just feels better to be in that spot. But also at the same time, you don't move your life forward if you remain in that comfort setting, or when things happen, if you play the victim. Now, for you, this is happening in real time. You're in the process of moving. So there's potentially lots of hiccups that can come along with that, right?
It just seems like 1,000 details to make everything fall into place. But I shouldn't have said that, because that doesn't work, to make things fall into place. You allow things to fall into place by setting it up so that can happen.
Okay, let's go right there. Let's press that button on pause. Would it be safe to say that if you are expecting things to go wrong, they, by universal law, could potentially go wrong, because you're telling the universe, yeah, I'm all set for you. Yeah, make it go wrong. I'll deal with it. Do you believe in manifestation that way?
Say that again.
Do you believe in manifestation? For example.
Manifesting.
Yes. Yes.
I wouldn't have finished college or graduate school without manifestation. And
how do you mean that? You manifested your future? You manifested your success?
I manifest by declaring my truth. The truth is simply, what is the purpose that I'm seeking? I'm seeking to apply to college. Well, I applied to 6 colleges and universities, and I got into nary a one. I thought, how did I mess up like that? And well, I had applied to all Ivy League caliber universities. And my father's alma mater, which is one of the top class schools in the world for engineering and science, that was at Caltech. So, but my father taught me a philosophy of life on how we manifest what we need to, number 1, survive, number 2, to fulfill our desires. And that could be, not necessarily I want to get this new car, but that could include that. But the desire is to live with a certain satisfaction. I used to teach that in chemistry, in teaching about laws of systems. And the purpose of the main system I was teaching is called the Venn matrix of a system. And I could really explain that a little by reminding people who are well enough along that they remember the motion picture, The Matrix, which came out around 1999. Except The Matrix was not about the individual manifesting those desired purposes in life. It was about living in a cyberspace in which a sinister-minded artificial intelligence was in charge. And this sinister system was always preventing people from living smooth lives. Well, my Venn matrix came along 20 years later in 1980, and it has quite a history. And that's a story all on its own. But I got it. The idea of the Venn matrix, the Venerable matrix, is that there are 5 properties of an optimum system. And if you know how to apply those properties, you can live a successful life. You can have a successful career. And we've discussed a few of those properties before, Stephen, some time ago. But the first one is, do you have a project? You have a purpose that you want to fulfill? That's domain A of the Venn matrix. Do you have the resources you need to carry out those projects to completion? That's the second domain. But these resources are not just material resources, they're informational resources as well. They're values resources. Things that you believe in are core to living a successful life. People can go to various sources for that. They can go to religion, they can go to philosophy, they can go to Eastern philosophy, whatever it is that works for them. That's a resource that's in that domain B. You have a domain C, those are your linking and communicative resources. Namely, those resources teach you, enable you to go find the material and the invisible hidden resources that you need. And the fourth domain is the change, transformation, and balance domain. In chemistry, we call balance equilibrium. In engineering, we call it equilibrium, equal balance in a system, a dual system. And then the fifth one is the one that is the least understood. In Greek philosophy, it's called the quintessence. That's domain E. It's called the identity element of a system. Without the identity element, a system doesn't know what it is. A human being does not know what he or she is. And unless they know that, they cannot proceed operating the other 4 domains. Well, that goes along with mastery for me of the principles and the laws of chemistry and physics and mathematics. That's where faith really comes in. I mean, you want to know what faith is about? You follow the right laws of reality. That's not really all that far-fetched or out in space, woo-woo kind of stuff. It's like walking out of the door in the morning and being confident that the law of gravity is going to be with you all day. And if you abide by it, it will help you through your day. However, if you go jump off of a 20-story building without preparation or something that can hold you up while you're being pulled down into the center of Earth's gravity field, that's not going to come out too good. So the universe and its principles require an absolute sense of faith in how things work. And people go to get that kind of knowledge from maybe from universities, maybe from mentors, gurus, whatever it is, wise friends. So that's what I'm dealing with today, because it has to do with a real estate transaction. And one of my favorite people in life is my sister, and she says, well, is the buyer going to give you a definite date as to when he's going to agree to this transaction, which we look for in most transactions. But if you don't have a regular broker, if you're doing it a sale by owner, that's different. So therefore, I got a broker who's called a transaction broker and supplies me with the guidance I need to pull it through. So I can't demand of the buyer to be agreed by a certain date. Well, most human beings would say, well, what if you can't control the buyer? I said, well, then that's the case. You don't even worry about it because you have the faith that the laws of the universe are working with you. That's what gives you backup plans. After A, you got plans B, C, and D.
So lots of questions to throw your way. Let's work our way back. So you're in the process of moving, selling your place.
That's right.
Now, if something happens with the buyer, let's say the communication is poor, your sister is concerned, she wants to make sure that there's a easy flow of communication, and you seem to be, not concerned. It's all going to work it out the way I'm detecting from you. It's everything seems to be okay so far.
That's how I've learned to live.
Okay, so
starting as a preteen, my father took us to mentors. Well, it was religious related, but that didn't matter. I mean, it worked. That's what I look for as an experimental philosopher today. I do the experiment with my mind. It's what Einstein did to actually develop his general theory of relativity. He didn't have a great big laboratory that was the size of a galaxy, but yet he put together the mathematical understandings that allowed him to understand gravitational fields and how other fields interact. And he used what he called a thought experiment. He would go into his mind and ask, well, what if I'm riding on a train and I have a flashlight with a bright light on it, and I'm trying to understand the speed of light. Now, will the speed of the train add to the photon's velocity coming out of the flashlight? That's how he worked his way step by step through propositions of what if. I got through college and graduate school by learning the what if questions as a scientist. And that's what worked. So I apply it not just to science and engineering, but everyday things of life. And I don't allow doubt to enter my thinking process.
In the selling of your place, if it doesn't pan out, let's say the buyer bails last minute, whatever happens, do you feel that was off of you? That's the way it was, some say, meant to be. Now, that's the way of the universe. Do you feel that would be the situation?
I proceed with plans B, C, or D. And I have learned after so many decades of existence that sometimes when I'm holding on to a certain goal or thought and it doesn't come through, it means there's something better on the way. And so if I get so stuck on that one goal that doesn't come through, something else comes through. But what does that do? It gives me signals in my central nervous system, and I'll get aha moments, eureka moments. Oh, what that does is it means that other people become agencies to my goals and successes. And they'll say, well, I heard someone wants a house just like yours. I have bought and sold 7 homes. And so this is the 8th one right now. And my advisors in real estate, well, it's a real spiritual process. so you don't put your own anxiety on top of it, because that will blow the process away quicker than anything else. So I've learned not to go into that. When I sold my home in Sonoma Valley, very fine place to live, that was in 1993. And I was warned by local real estate agents, well, the market is flat. Nothing is selling. So what was my angle to it? I don't need the whole blankety market to buy my house. All I need is one buyer who really likes this house. That's what happened.
Wow.
My agent had a call from someone that saw the house and said, oh, we really want that house. That's how it sold. Was it on the market for 9 months? No, it was on the market for a few weeks. It sold just like that. And people that know how to master that principle have the same reports about their ability to sell it. And that can apply to getting into college. There was a young man that wanted to go to Harvard back, maybe, I don't know, 12 years ago. And he didn't get in. And this was the funny part of the story, because we have this thing called affirmative action or DEI and all of that designed to help minority people get into college. And so this guy was helped by an attorney to file a suit against Harvard for not letting him in. But he went on and applied to Williams College. Excellent college. He didn't go to college. He didn't go to Harvard, but he went to Williams, and he's so glad he went to Williams because it was the right place for him. See, this comes to what's happening with our politics today, where we want to get the right laws so that people are not getting just frivolously injured because of their identities. This gets into identity politics, demographics, but hopefully to have a minimum of legal assistance so that you don't have a free-for-all attack on people because of their ancestries, their heritages, or something about their personal properties. But the answer is for people to get in touch with this principle of what we call right action, that is to declare one is in the right place at the right time. And every time people say, well, how do you know that's going to happen? I said, I don't know. I have to wait and let it. But that's how life is operated. So when I didn't get into 6 universities I applied for, I was very disappointed, but a call came out of the blue to my father. It was one of his old engineering friends who was a prominent professor at UC Berkeley, transferring to UCLA. He said, well, how are your kids, Grant? And that's my father's name, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're fine. My son is still trying to get into college. But this professor said, here, I'm going to give you the name and phone number of my secretary at UCLA in the engineering division. And you fill out the application, turn it in, and you'll get in. So that's how that happened. I got into UCLA.
We're just about out of time. I want to ask you one final question real quick here. Based on what you're saying and based on not worrying so much about things like selling your home, getting into college and all that, my mom always used to say this phrase. And I used to just, I'd be in my 20s and I'd hear it and I'm like, mom's old. What does she know? And now that, I'm her age when she was saying it, now it came clear. Go with the flow. Go with the flow.
Oh, that's great. That's what it is.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
It's the flow of life, and the principles that were given us as rightful resources in life.
Yeah.
And you have to take that first step in order to prove it to yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you hang out in doubt. And
Yeah. And it just seems like the universe is going to take you that way anyway. So you may as well just get on your back in the river of life and just flow, just go. You can't fight it, like
that's right.
in terms of worrying about it. Grant, thank you so much for being here. You actually validated a lot of things I always wondered about. And if you think I'm not paying attention, I wrote down all of the points I'm showing in the Post-it note, so I can share it with others. And resources is one powerful one.
It's such a
Appreciate it.
pleasure to be interviewed by you, Stephen.
Thank you. I appreciate Grant Will. And by the way, your memoir, look it up, everybody. Google it, Grant Venerable. A lot of great insight in there. Footprints in the chaotic world. Am I saying that right?
Chaotic unknown.
Chaotic unknown.
You can't get more chaotic than that.
Thank you for today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.